The second tool, and of course, this is kind of the tip of the iceberg. There's more levels to this as well, but it's a great tool to continue working with. Ask questions. When you ask questions, your mind will go find the answers. You keep asking questions, it will keep finding answers. And asking questions is also a way to enroll help from your expanded, I believe in guides and angels, and I believe they can communicate with us. Some people think of it as ancestors. A lot of spiritual practices recognize that there are, whether it's ancestors who have passed or guides or angels, that they're looking out for us and helping us along the way. So as you're asking questions, you can enroll both your unconscious mind, but also your expanded mind, more of your spiritual mind and your spiritual awareness into helping you find those answers. Now, here's the thing with asking questions. If you ask better questions, you can get better answers. So here's the next little tool to take a moment and get that clean sheet of paper. And we can go kind of big picture for a moment. And I want you to just ask the question, am I on my path? Am I on my purpose? And just notice what comes to mind. And take just a couple minutes and write down whatever comes to mind. So asking that question and then just free writing. And pay attention, thoughts, pictures, images, words, feelings. I'll just give you a few minutes here to go through and get a few thoughts. Okay, hopefully you have some ideas. If you don't have, you can just add little placeholder words to come back to. Family or relationships, connections, work, just things to bring you back to that. So you can also take a bigger chunk of time to really clarify and also kind of go through those 5 senses. So what are you picturing? Am I on my purpose? What's the mental picture? And then you might even ask it again, am I on my purpose? And then what thoughts or words might be showing up? That's that audio. Sorry. And then asking again, what are the feelings associated with it? Sometimes we have feelings that are coming through our unconscious mind. If our mind has picked up habits like self-judgment or self-blame, then that can kind of color some of your awareness of that, right? So this is how a lot of our messages get filtered through these layers of the mind. So paying attention to that, maybe it's a gut sense of it. Maybe it's a tension. Maybe it's kind of partially I'm on purpose. Maybe there's a little more to clarify or hone. Chances are if you have challenges in life, you're on your purpose because we're all learning how to sort through the challenges. Life is like a puzzle box. And we jump down here, souls, we jump down to figure out this puzzle. And it's challenging, and then we have to figure out the pieces or how it goes together. So that's part of the human experience. Now, there's a reason that we don't buy puzzles already done. We want the experience of putting it together and figuring it out. So again, if you can ask better questions, you can get better answers, better responses. So we've been making time, 5 minutes a day, to simply ask a question and then just notice what comes to mind. Pay attention. What are you thinking, feeling, hearing, perceiving, noticing? How's your body responding to that question? This kind of reminds me of, here's another sense of it. Our body can actually physically bring communication through the body. So I was working at a backpacking. And I share stories because your mind will remember stories. And his stories were kind of hardwired for stories. So I was working at a backpacking company and we were out in the woods And my sister was pregnant at the time, and she was, at home. And one day I was just hanging out in camp. We were hiking with at-risk youth, and I was hanging out in camp, and I just got lady cramps, PMS cramps. I'm like, this is weird. This is not my cycle. But they were there. They were not super painful, but they were there enough to notice them and recognize them. And I'm like, what's going on? And I thought about for a minute, and I kind of tuned into it. My sister was going through labor at the same time. I couldn't call her, so I didn't find out till I came back. But my sister was going through labor and having her first baby. And then so I had those like sympathy pains with her. That's my intuition telling me, hey, your sister's going through. So at the time I did put it together, and I sent her some extra love and support. So even, what your body is doing could be an intuitive message for you. In the deeper layers of hypnosis, helping the mind to untangle some of the negative patterns that we don't like, even health symptoms, we start to recognize as health symptoms as body communication, that our body is actually telling us something through the symptom. So pay attention to that as well. Maybe you do have some health issues or health things that are coming up. And what is it telling you? That's one of the most powerful questions that I learned from going through my shamanic schools and wilderness awareness and shaman school was, what is this telling me? And if we can use that more, that's opening the door to tapping into our expanded knowing and intuition. So in clarifying that as well is to pay attention to finding a yes and finding a no. So one, you can use an open-ended question, like sometimes I'll wake up and I like to keep journaling like 10 minutes a day and have that window of time to really tune into myself and, listen to my unconscious mind, but also just pay attention. And so 10 minutes a day, I'm not always consistent, but I do have that habit. And it might even be something as, what's important today? What's good for me to focus on today? And maybe I'll get a word, a sense, a feeling. Maybe I'll get an image of like my client list, or maybe somebody's face will come to mind. And so these can all be prompts, like pay attention to what comes up. Now, more of the bigger picture, we just ask like a yes or no. Am I on my purpose? So whatever response you get there, maybe it's a feeling of restricted, then you can go into it and start using questions to clarify. So here is a way to get your unconscious mind to help you out with clarifying your messages. And we're going to ask, you can do this with your eyes open or your eyes closed. We're going to ask for your unconscious mind. Think of it as your automatic mind. It's still part of your own mind, but think of it as your more expansive mind. We're going to ask your unconscious mind to give you a red X for no. And sometimes it'll pick a different way to show you, but a red X for no.
Bye.
Nod of your head when you have it. Okay, and now give you the image of a green circle for yes. And you got a sense of it. You might get a picture, you might get a thought, a word, a sense of it. Come through? Good. So now you can use that yes or no system and go to clarifying. Am I in the right direction of my purpose? And sometimes our purpose is just to work through the challenges. Am I in the right direction of my purpose? Am I in the right field of my purpose? Okay, so that can give you a tool to start clarifying. So now, sometimes we get those messages, like if I had made time for clarifying the smoking, I might have gone through and figured out whether it was a past client that I needed to check in with, or a client that was coming, or maybe it was just, someone that I knew that was a smoker that was thinking about me, and that was a way that they could communicate that. So it gives you a way to start kind of clarifying. Now, sometimes we pick up information that isn't even ours. And it can come through in different ways. So I was babysitting my friend's cat, and her cat was like 6 months old. It was still pretty small. It's kind of like a teenager. He's really feisty. His name is Zazu, and he is an orange striped kitten. And in fact, it's a really funny story, really cool story of manifesting so I'll share it quickly because we just have one more tool left. We were out on a hike, and she's like, I want to get this cat. And she had tried to get a Bengal cat through, finding it online, and she sent away for it, but then it got squirrely. Like, she kept asking questions about it. It was good to the vet, and the person that she was buying it from was like, wouldn't answer her questions and was getting upset with her for not signing the agreement right away. And so she, like, something's kind of off with this. And sometimes that's how intuition is showing you, like, something is just not quite right here. Something is off. So she backed out of the deal. We were talking about, she's wanted a kitten for a while, and we were talking about, her getting a cat. And I think I mentioned, oh yeah, you can always go to, Humane Society. They always have, little gray cats, tabby cats. And she's like, I don't want one. I want a kitten. And then I'm like, well, usually they have kittens different times of year. She's like, I want an orange kitten. Oh, okay. So now she's getting more specific. And all right, well, what kind of kitten do you want? She's like, I want an orange striped kitten, and I want it to be male. And this was back in like June. This was actually this year that this happened. So a couple weeks later, July 4th, in the middle of the night, I hear this outside my door in the morning. Well, it was actually in the morning. It's still dark. Sorry, it wasn't still dark. It was just sun up. So it was able to see it. I go out there, there's this little tiny kitten, orange male kitten. And it was with a big tomcat that was also orange. And I thought, oh, well, that's the baby's cat. But then the cat turned around. I thought it was a male cat, which is pretty unusual. They don't tend to hang out with the kittens. So anyway, scooped up the kitten, and I called my friend, hey, Natalie, I found your cat. Now, I haven't seen cats out at my place the whole time I've been there. I've been there 5 years. But the universe heard, and it coordinated things, and there's the kitten. So that's a quick manifesting story. So about this kitten, I was tending it for a couple of weeks while she was away on work. And I have a Pomsky. He's like a mini husky, but he has a high prey drive. He not only he will chase all the cats out of our yard. And I had the kitten in the laundry room, so the doors were shut and he couldn't get in, but he was like hyper focused. He was going to get that cat, right? Just hyper focused on it. So I went out to do something, running some errands. And while I was out running the cat was secure, went out to do some things. I had this image of this little kitten all mangled that just kind of popped into my head. And I kind of had this fear response. Oh no, what if he got it, or somebody wasn't careful? And then I calmed my mind, kind of tuned into this. Does this belong to me or somebody else? That's a yes or no. Does it belong to me or somebody else? Somebody else. My mom was staying with me at the time. She tends to be a little bit fear oriented. And so I recognized, oh, it doesn't belong to me. It was probably my mom that was thinking about it. Went home, the kitten was fine. And so little Zazu he's totally okay. But sometimes our mind, and if our unconscious mind is running fear responses, it can flash us some of those, not so good pictures. Or if we have interference, maybe we're picking up other people's fears or other people's emotions. People who are pretty sensitive or empathic, sometimes we're picking up other people's emotions. So there's a couple ways to clarify. You can ask a question, open-ended, just write whatever comes to mind. Pay attention to what you think, what you feel, how your body feels, and then you can use yes or no questions to clarify. And a lot of times using that question, is this belong to me or somebody else? That's a good way to recognize, oh, this is not mine. Like maybe you went to the grocery store and you come home just feeling drained or bad. Oh, does this belong to me or somebody else? Maybe you picked up something from somebody else.